Hello, I'm Shelby Aarons, and I have with me Jazz here. So, I'll make an attempt here. I'm going to make an attempt here to do a video series. And we're going to do a video series on the bow. Now, I've had this mare for quite a while now. A lot of you guys know her. Hell, half of you guys out there probably rode her. The whole 5 people that'll watch this, right? And she's pretty good at her groundwork. She's great under saddle. I can call on her whenever I need her for anything. And I haven't bothered with the bow, the lay down, the sit, or any real tricks. We've got a little bit of liberty. Like she comes when I call her, she does a few little things, but we haven't really put a lot of focus in it. And that was just because she's just a nice riding horse. And she doesn't know personal space, but that's because she's kind of special. And those of you who know her know that this horse gets away with murder on a few things. I wanted to talk about the disclaimer, though, here a little bit. Now, we have a few options here when we teach about, or when you're teaching liberty, or when you're teaching the lay down. And we get greedy, and then we start trying to make things happen. And I want you guys to think about that. I don't want you to think about making it happen. There's 3 or 4 or 5 different ways, a dozen different ways to teach the bow. And we got to be careful not to make it happen. We got to let it happen. We want these guys to be pleasing and be willing for us. And if we start making things happen too much, then that willingness goes away. And one of the areas you see that willingness, what do you have to say about it? One of those ways that we see that willingness with these horses is expression. Their ears will lay back. They'll press their lips together. They'll flare their nostrils. They'll ring their tail. They'll still do the maneuver, but they're not happy about it. And I personally want them to be happy about these things. I want them to be willing to do it. I want to be able to call on them, and they're like, "Oh, you want that right now? Here, I'll give it to you." So I say that because I want you to take your time. The time taken to make it where it's more willing is tenfold going to give you a better end result. If I show up at a demo somewhere and she's very willing, she's gonna just look just as soft as she is here. She's just gonna do it. She's gonna be like, yes, sir, I love and pleasing you, and you want this. I know how to answer that question. If I start forcing it and I kind of make it happen, then she's gonna brace up. She might pin her ears back a little bit. She might ring her tail. And then the other side of it, she might not do the bow for me. I might be there like, please do it for me, because I can't school you in front of all these people and make this happen. So, you're such a good pony. So there's a lot of thought that goes in there, needs to go in there when you start teaching these things. Now, I apply this to everything, to groundwork, to riding, to starting, to obstacles, everything. I want that to be their idea. I want them to want to do it. I don't want to make them do it. On the side note, there are times with certain horses and certain things where we gotta push them a little bit. We gotta make a little bit of something happen there. But it's not like from start to finish. It's just to kind of get them over that hump. Maybe you're starting a horse and he doesn't want a canter for you, and you gotta push him. Like, there are times where you gotta push a horse, and I'm not saying don't do that. I'm saying, like, don't try to make too much happen. Push them to get something to change to happen, and get them to try for you and say, yes, I need you to try a little bit harder. That way, that making and that forcing is not you saying you need to do this, period. It's saying, hey, can you try a little bit harder for you? And you'll be surprised, like, if you do it that way, the horses, they start trying a little bit more. They start doing a little bit more, and you don't lose that willingness. You don't get the ringing tail. You don't get the laid back ears. You don't get the bracing. So just a little disclaimer, just a little thought on that. And, getting back to the bow here, there's a dozen different ways that we can teach a horse to bow. Now, I'm not a big treat person. You can bring the treat down and have them come between your legs and get them to bow that way. I'm okay with people who do that. I have no problem with doing that. That's not how I like to do it. Now, do I use treats for certain things occasionally? Yes, occasionally. Very, very rarely. Most of the time, the horses are pretty willing, and I just wait, because I'll just be a little bit more patient. So, the other option for bowing is we can tie their leg up and kind of force that to happen. Some horses that might work. Some horses that might be a good idea. I think that's a little bit too fast, and it's a little bit too, I hate same technique. It's a little bit too forceful, and it's okay. It's not the end of the world. There's a scenario for every situation. Um, I know people that don't even use a halter. Heck, a lot of my horses that I've prepared with the tricks in mind, I don't use a halter when I teach them the bow. I don't use a bridle. Um, there are some people that just use a crop here and get them to bow that way, and don't ever hardly ever touch their face with a halter or a bridle. There's a ton of different ways. How I like to do it, and I'm going to do it with her, is I'm going to use the halter. I'm going to use my crop a little bit here. I'm going to use my foot. I'm going to just kind of feel her out and see where she's at on it, because we've never touched on this. We've never done this. She just hasn't been a horse that I've felt the need to do this with, and now I do. So now we're going to try to make a little bit of a series on it. So there's the intro cap of what we're going to do and my thoughts behind it. I hope that you guys stay tuned. Those of you that know this horse know how willing she is, that you know how much she wants to do things for me, and we'll see how long this takes, how many episodes this takes to get it down. My goal is to be able to cue her to bow without any halters, completely at liberty, without a halter, without a bridle, most likely without a crop. Maybe it kind of depends on her. Some horses you can get it away from the crop completely. Others, they kind of need that little bit of support. And we're going to see where it goes. So, I thank you for your time. I thank you for your energy. Enjoy your day. Enjoy your lives. Enjoy your horses.